We are working in pesticides in Ethiopia, and this program here that you see is a program that we're doing in Cameroon. We're actually really excited because in the early fall, we are scheduled to go to Cameroon to do a cleanup of 2 different pesticide sites there. And that work actually is the culmination of about 3 years of engagement in that country with that specific program. So we went over there, we identified a lot of sites contaminated with pesticides. We took that list and ranked those, and out of that 6 sites surfaced that were deemed incredibly caustic and needed further investigation. We sent another team who did detailed assessments of those 6 sites, and from that we took that information, spoke with government, spoke with the communities, and 2 of those sites are now the sites that we're going to clean up. We're incredibly pleased that along with that, what you see there, that's Barbara Jones. She's one of our technical advisors. She will be leading the technical side of the program, of the project. But we're really pleased that also, in addition to that, accompanying her will be a woman from Senegal named Fatoumata, who is one of our investigators there. She is also in the field right now looking at mercury sites, but her background is in toxicology. And she expressed a lot of interest and great intelligence in learning more about cleanup projects. So we will be sending her to accompany Barbara into the field to get that firsthand experience. And I think that's one of the things is in our region and as an organization that we try and do is to capacitate and empower our staff to learn the skills so that when we're not there, they can take that back to their communities or back to their regions. This also applies, another example of that is in Zambia, where we have done a massive cleanup project. This is a picture, this is the town of Kabwe, which Jack Caravanos there is super familiar with. In fact, he was one of the people who deemed this place in the world one of the most contaminated on the planet. We went into that site and we have so far managed, we found the neighborhood there that was the most contaminated. Soil contamination, the limit of risk exposure is 400 parts per million. And we found communities where kids were playing in their front yard at 30 and 40,000 parts per million. So we found this the most contaminated. We cleaned up 80 of those houses. We laid geotextile fabric down. It prevents the contamination from seeping through. We laid that over this contaminated soil and capped it with clean soil in these kids' yards. But it's part of our legacy. The same way that we're trying to capacitate our staff and our people there, we're also trying to demonstrate that solutions are feasible, they're doable, and that we can accomplish them with not a lot. So we're sort of using this site in Kabwe as a demonstration both to funders and the community themselves that this can be done, and it can be done in a straightforward way. And so lastly, want another reason that we do the work we do. This is Siwane Judith St. Fort, who is not here tonight. She's the regional director for Africa. She was recently in Senegal doing a training, and she had the opportunity to visit Siwane, who she essentially represents the foundation of what we do and why we do it. We became involved in her community about 10 years ago. She was working at a lead acid battery recycling site, which some people here have brought up before. A similarly contaminated town. While she was working at this site, she gave birth to 5 children. 4 of those children died. They died as a direct result of lead exposure. So we became involved around this time. She was still working at the site. We connected with the Ministry of Health in Senegal. We came into the town where she was working. We met her. We cleaned up the smelter where she was working. We launched educational campaigns both to educate the community on the dangers of lead exposure and health. We also facilitated workshops on alternative livelihoods and offered options for what can you do to earn an income that's less dangerous. And most importantly as well, we cleaned up the site where she was working. We cleaned her house. As Alfonso mentioned, people track into their houses the contamination. So we cleaned her house and those of people in the community. Before the intervention, lead levels were taken, blood was drawn, orders of magnitude higher than what is acceptable risk. After we cleaned up, lead levels were taken and there was a dramatic decrease in the level of blood. What's lovely about this story is that 10 years later, when Judith went back to visit, and I think there have been subsequent visits along the way, the Ministry of Health through the Pollution Control Board has been monitoring lead levels in the community, and recently they did hers again. Not only had the blood go down after the intervention, but it stayed down for these past 10 years. She is below the level, her son is below the level. She is happy, she is healthy, she is not working in lead. Her son is happy, thriving, healthy, and I can't think of a more successful story than happiness and health. I think anything you do, whether it's a cleanup or just in life, it's happiness and success are what you are after, happiness and health.